There's a hidden veil covering the truth, a tapestry of interpretations and silent agreements that block what's really going on. Christianity, as most people know it, is just a shallow reflection, a distorted echo of something much deeper. What if Christ isn't just a historical figure? What if he represents a power inside every single one of us, waiting to be awakened? Jesus wasn't teaching people to memorize rules. He was sharing transformative wisdom, alchemical formulas to change consciousness. Over time, religious institutions turned his radical message into rigid rules. They forgot that truth can't be trapped in a single book or dogma. In the early days, before the Bible existed, disciples learned in secret. They received direct teachings about the soul, inner transformation, and divine connection. But these insights were silenced, hidden away, the bearers branded as heretics. The real message was simple. What's inside you has the power to save or destroy you. This wasn't about an external savior demanding blind obedience. It was about self-discovery. Divinity isn't some distant figure on a throne. It's the spark within you, the I am that can transform reality when truly recognized. Jesus said it clearly. The kingdom of God is inside you, not a future promise, but a present reality to be experienced right now. True spirituality is a science of consciousness, a path that merges mysticism with mental power, where your focused intention can actually reshape reality. The journey of bringing divine essence into our world isn't mystical mumbo-jumbo. It's the core of Christian spiritual understanding, a truth many churches have forgotten or intentionally buried. Medieval mystics like Meister Eckhart understood something profound. To truly connect with the divine, we must empty ourselves. God can't fill a space that's already crowded with our ego and illusions. Jesus spoke about this. Denying yourself isn't about suffering, it's about letting go, releasing the idea that God is separate from us, breaking down the walls we've built around our true essence. Early Christian communities knew this. The Essenes weren't just a religious group, they were spiritual practitioners. Meditation wasn't a trend for them, it was a pathway to inner transformation. Baptism meant more than water. It symbolized rebirth, but something changed. Theology shifted. Suddenly, salvation became an external promise. Jesus was transformed from an accessible teacher to a distant, unreachable figure. But his real message was radical. Everyone can do what he did. Everyone has that potential. Original Christianity wasn't about guilt, it was a blueprint for awakening. Not about waiting for heaven after death, but creating it right now. It didn't separate humans from the divine, it revealed our fundamental connection. To understand this requires courage, breaking free from inherited beliefs, opening our minds to a deeper truth. This isn't about blind faith, it's about direct experience. When you truly awaken to this, you're no longer a passive receiver. You become a creator, realizing that divinity isn't something to chase, it's something we've always been. Hey there, are you ready to dive deep into something incredible? Let's talk about Jesus, but not just the guy from history books. We're exploring something way more profound. Throughout time, people have seen Jesus differently. Some call him the Messiah, others see him as a powerful teacher. But here's the real secret. Christ isn't just a person. It's a living energy inside every single one of us. Ancient wisdom traditions knew this. In Egypt, they called it the divine spark. In India, they spoke of a higher self that connects to everything. Jesus himself hinted at this when he said, "The kingdom of God is within you." Imagine that. Not just a story, not just a religious concept, but an actual living power waiting inside you. Christian mystics understood this deep truth. They knew Christ isn't just about remembering a historical figure. It's about an inner transformation, a moment when your ego steps aside and something magnificent takes over. Think about it like this. Christ isn't just about one person. It's a state of consciousness anyone can reach, a vibration, a way of being that connects you to something bigger than yourself. Wild, right? But also incredibly beautiful. He wasn't just his body or mind, but something much bigger, something beyond time itself. His master looked at him and said, "You've seen the Christ within you, now you must face it." That's the real challenge. It's not enough to just understand inner divinity intellectually. You've got to live it, breathe it, make it real in everything you do. The inner Christ isn't some abstract idea. It's a living, breathing experience that changes how you see everything. When you awaken it, you stop acting from fear or selfishness. Instead, you move from a deep knowing that everything is connected. Love is the only real power. Throughout history, people have touched this state, though you'll rarely hear about them in church. Mystics and saints knew something profound. They understood that deep inside each of us burns a divine flame. But our modern world has forgotten. We've turned Jesus' message into a set of rules, when it was always meant to be a journey of transformation. His real teaching wasn't just about loving others. It was about remembering who we truly are. This path isn't easy. Awakening the inner Christ means dying to who you think you are. It means letting go so you can discover something deeper. The cross isn't just about suffering. It's about becoming more than you ever imagined. In a forgotten desert cave, a monk once wrote words that still ring with truth. Christ isn't in temples or books. He's inside you. But you'll only find him when your mind goes quiet and the flame in your heart burns without fear. Light emerged not from random chance, but from pure intention, a cosmic decree that commands the universe to take shape. Jesus spoke with incredible power. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believing you will receive. Simple words, but packed with hidden meaning. This isn't about maybe or permission. It's an absolute statement, a key that unlocks invisible worlds. Those who understand realize something profound. Reality isn't fixed. It's moldable. Our thoughts and words aren't just expressions, they're creation tools. Ancient cultures knew this secret. Egyptian priests whispered sacred prayers. Indian mystics used Sanskrit mantras that could reshape reality. Hebrews guarded God's name with such reverence that only initiates could speak it. Jesus demonstrated this principle through miracles. Each act wasn't just compassion, it was a demonstration of word power, conscious mastery over reality itself. Consider the story of a blind beggar. Day after day he sat at temple gates, repeating, "I have nothing. I am nothing. Have mercy." An old master stopped one day and challenged him. "You've built your own prison with these words. Why do you keep reinforcing your walls?" The beggar didn't understand. His repeated lament wasn't describing his life, it was constructing it. Jesus knew this. When healing, he didn't ask about suffering. He declared, "Rise, be clean, go. Your faith has saved you." No doubt, no uncertainty, just absolute conviction. Manifestation doesn't come from empty desire. It springs from unshakable belief. The human mind, when truly conscious, mirrors the divine, as above, so below. Faith isn't just a feeling. It's the rocket fuel that brings words to life. If you've got faith even as tiny as a mustard seed, you can literally tell a mountain to move. And guess what? It will. The key is in the command. Jesus didn't say, "Ask God to help." He said, "You will say it." It's about speaking with absolute certainty. No doubt, no hesitation. The Gnostic Gospels dive even deeper. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says something wild. Keep seeking until you find something that totally shakes you up. When you find that truth, it'll blow your mind, and then you'll understand everything. This is the path of awakening. First you seek, then you get disrupted. Because real truth, it doesn't just tap you on the shoulder, it demolishes everything you thought you knew. The universe is like a massive mirror. What you think, what you speak, that becomes your world. Nothing happens by accident. Jesus understood this. He didn't teach people to accept their circumstances. He taught them to transform them. Every word spoken with conviction is like that first cosmic command, "Let there be light." Maybe creation never stopped. Maybe every time someone speaks their truth, they're continuing that original act of making something from nothing. So the real question is simple. What world will you create with your words? At the heart of existence lies a divine essence that breathes life into everything. When Moses asked who was sending him, he received a profound response. "I am that I am." This wasn't just a name, but a declaration of pure, limitless existence. Ancient mystics understood something powerful. This wasn't about a distant god, but about a living, vibrating energy woven into reality itself. The sacred name wasn't just letters, it was a living force. Jesus knew this secret deeply. When he said, "I am the light," or "I am the way," he wasn't talking like an ordinary person. He was speaking from a place of divine connection. Each "I am" was a powerful declaration that united the human and the divine. Words have incredible power. In ancient traditions, initiates would spend years in silence, understanding that what we declare becomes our truth. It's not about magic, but about speaking from the very source of creation. There's an old story about a seeker who traveled everywhere looking for enlightenment. Deserts, mountains, monasteries. He searched everywhere. Then an old sage told him something profound. Everything you seek is already within you. When asked to describe himself, the seeker started listing his name, his history, but the sage stopped him. Who are you, he asked, without your past, without your body, without your actions? In that moment of silence, the seeker understood. The true power of I am isn't in our ego or our story, it's in our pure essence. The veil drops and truth emerges. When Jesus said I am, he wasn't speaking from his human self. He spoke from a deeper place, the eternal consciousness living inside all of us. Ancient wisdom tells us that knowing your true name means reclaiming your power. But this isn't some secret password, it's pure awareness of being. In the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus reveals a profound message. Truly knowing yourself means understanding you're a child of the living Father. The real secret isn't just about God existing, it's about recognizing your own divinity. Divinity isn't in some distant temple, it's right here in the certainty of your own existence. I am creates reality. Every time you speak those words, you're shaping your world. What will you choose? I am weak or I am powerful? I am unworthy or I am infinite? Words create worlds, always. Jesus' miracles weren't just supernatural spectacles, they were transformative lessons. Each miracle contained a deeper teaching, a key to inner change. They showed humanity's hidden potential, reminding us that divinity lives inside every single person. Like alchemists turning lead into gold, these miracles demonstrated that inner transformation can reshape external reality. The wedding at Cana wasn't just about making wine. It was a symbol of transforming the ordinary into the sacred, matter into spirit. The ancient mystics saw something most people miss. Every miracle in the Gospels was actually a deep metaphor for inner transformation. When Jesus walked on water, he wasn't breaking physics. He was showing something profound. The water represents our messy inner world, all those swirling emotions and fears that toss us around like a storm. Walking on water means mastering your inner landscape. Peter tried to follow, but doubt crept in. He sank. That's the key lesson. Only those with rock-solid faith in their divine potential can navigate life's turbulent waters without drowning. Take the miracle of multiplying loaves and fishes. On the surface, it looks like feeding hungry people. But dig deeper. Bread symbolizes spiritual knowledge. Fish represent divine intuition. Jesus wasn't just handing out food. He was expanding consciousness. In the early days of Christianity, initiated mystics understood these hidden teachings. The fish symbol wasn't just a secret handshake. It was a code for deeper wisdom, knowledge reserved for those ready to truly see. The resurrection of Lazarus? That's the ultimate metaphor for spiritual awakening. Lazarus was dead, completely gone. But Jesus didn't ask. He commanded, "Come forth." He knew death was just an illusion. This miracle whispers a powerful truth. No matter how lost or broken you feel, rebirth is always possible. Always. These weren't magic tricks. They were roadmaps to human potential. The journey of human transformation is profound, from darkness to light, from death to rebirth. In a quiet monastery nestled among misty mountains, a monk once wrote something extraordinary. The real miracle isn't changing the world, but changing how we see it. Some truths are hidden in plain sight. Mary Magdalene carried a wisdom most never understood. While religious leaders argued and scholars debated, she held a sacred flame of knowledge that burned bright and pure. She wasn't just another follower, she was a keeper of deep mysteries. The canonical Gospels barely mention her, just brief glimpses, at the crucifixion, at the resurrection. But the forgotten texts tell a different story, a story of profound spiritual understanding. The apostles saw her differently. Peter even admitted Jesus loved her more deeply than the others. "Tell us what you know," he would ask. What secrets did she carry? What revelations had been whispered to her alone? For the Gnostics, she wasn't just a companion, she was a spiritual messenger. Jesus taught a radical truth, that divine light lives inside every human being. And Mary? She was its herald. Some wisdom isn't meant for everyone. Some truths are so powerful they can only be understood by those ready to truly listen. Jesus and Mary shared something deeper than just a teacher-student relationship. They were spiritual partners in a profound journey. During one gathering, the disciples argued about whether women should be allowed to learn the highest spiritual teachings. Jesus simply smiled and pointed to Mary Magdalene. "She already understands what you're still struggling to grasp," he said. The kingdom Jesus spoke about wasn't a physical place. It was a state of consciousness. Mary didn't need the same lessons as the other disciples. Her soul already knew the path before this life. After Jesus died, Mary carried this secret wisdom to distant lands. In southern France, legends tell of a mysterious woman who brought a message different from the official church teachings. Early communities respected her as a keeper of hidden knowledge. What happened to her story? Was it deliberately erased or simply too powerful for those wanting to create a rigid religious system? The ancients believed some truths must remain hidden, revealed only to those who truly seek. Mary needed no titles or official recognition. She founded no churches, wrote no scriptures, yet her presence lingers in history's margins, waiting for those who can read between the lines. A lost text captures her essence. The bride of light walks within, not before. Her light is her only crown. Truth isn't found in stone temples or men's words, but inside yourself. Perhaps the key to understanding has always been close. We just forgot how to use it. Spiritual awakening isn't about destruction. It's about seeing through the illusion. The apocalypse isn't a scary end-of-the-world scenario. It's a profound inner journey, a transformation of the soul. The word itself means revelation, not catastrophe. It's about lifting the veil, breaking free from the shadows that keep us asleep. Think of it like an internal storm, a powerful process that strips away everything fake, everything unreal. You can't reach enlightenment without walking through darkness first. Just like in alchemy, you must dissolve the false self before you can truly transform. The symbols, the seals, the trumpets, the beasts, they're not external threats. They're maps of our inner battle, reflections of the cosmic forces we all face when we're trying to grow spiritually. Imagine a disciple asking his master about awakening. "I want the truth," he says. The master's response? "Are you ready to let everything you believe collapse?" The truth isn't beautiful. It's a fire, a burning that reduces you to ashes. Only then can you see what's always been there. This is the apocalypse, a purifying flame, a war between who you were and who you're becoming. Not punishment, transformation. Facing the light is the ultimate challenge for every seeker. When you approach it, it's the final test before breaking through. But this journey isn't about defeat. The traveler is protected, guided by forces beyond our understanding. This is a promise. Transformation hurts, but those who walk through fire with courage will rise higher. Then comes the vision, a place of pure light, where darkness can't exist. Not a real city, but a state of being, the soul returning to its source. The ancient wisdom tells us life is a cycle of falling and rising. We descend into the world, forgetting who we truly are. But one day, we wake up. We begin the journey back home. This path isn't easy. Storms rage, shadows try to pull us off course, fear whispers. But those who don't give up, those who keep moving forward, will see the light waiting just ahead. An old desert text says it perfectly. Don't fear the end. It's not an ending, but a beginning. We're not waiting for something to happen. We're in the middle of it right now. The only question is, are we brave enough to wake up? The soul's disconnection from its divine source is a profound journey. The ego isn't inherently bad, it's just a tool we use to navigate the world. But when the ego forgets it's temporary and starts believing it's everything, that's when problems begin. Satan isn't some red-horned demon. It's simply anything blocking spiritual growth. Think of it as inner resistance. Jesus understood this deeply. In the desert, he faced temptation, but not from an external devil. These temptations came from his own mind. "Turn stones to bread," a voice whispered. "Throw yourself from the temple. Bow down and get everything." Each temptation was about power, validation, control. But Jesus didn't fight these impulses with force. He saw through them, recognized them, didn't give them power. Ancient manuscripts suggest our souls pass through 7 gates before entering the world, each gate placing a veil over us. Veils of identity, desire, fear, separation. We arrive forgetting who we truly are, thinking we're isolated, surrounded by enemies. This is the real fall, not some dramatic angelic punishment, but consciousness descending into matter. Forgetting we're light, believing we're just physical bodies. Redemption isn't about battling darkness. It's about remembering, about seeing the ego as a servant, not a master, about understanding that fear and love are just different expressions of the same energy. Listen up. There's a hidden truth that most people miss completely. If you ignore it, you'll get trapped. But those who understand can break free. Maybe Satan isn't what we think. Maybe he's just a mirror, and when you look into it, what do you see? The number 66 isn't just some scary symbol. It's deeper than that. It's about being human, about being stuck in a world of limits. Birth, death, suffering, these are the real demons. In ancient wisdom, this number represents something profound. It's about being incomplete, trapped, like a soul locked inside a decaying body, believing in separation. Alchemists knew the secret. Matter without spirit is just a beast, a raw, unrefined substance waiting to be transformed. 6 represents the body without soul, form without light. There's an old story that humans were once made of fire, weightless, fearless. But then something changed. Mysterious architects trapped our divine spark in clay bodies. You'll be kings, they said, but you'll never go home. And just like that, we became prisoners. Prisoners of flesh, prisoners of time. Prisoners of a material world that makes us forget who we really are. In this world, humans are often reduced to mere numbers, just another cog spinning in a massive machine, disconnected from our true source. But this isn't a curse, it's a challenge. Matter isn't punishment, it's a step on our journey back home. The beast isn't some external monster, it's our ego without light. Not an enemy, but the part of us still sleeping. Ancient sages spoke of a perfect being, the transcended human. They saw this person as the number 77. This isn't just math, it's a symbol of consciousness that has conquered physical limitations. Imagine transforming the world, not by running away, but by elevating it, spiritualizing every moment. An old manuscript hidden in desert monasteries warns, don't fear the beast's number, fear being the beast without knowing it. When we remember our true origin, what once seemed terrifying becomes nothing more than a distant echo. The real question isn't who the beast is, it's how we break free from its prison. Initiation has always marked deep spiritual transformation. Being born isn't enough, existing isn't enough. Awakening requires a journey, a descent, a symbolic death, a rebirth. In Christian tradition, 3 moments define this path: baptism, crucifixion, resurrection. These aren't just ceremonies, they're keys to understanding spiritual alchemy, a process every seeker must walk to transcend their own darkness and reach the light. Listen closely to this moment of divine revelation. A voice from heaven speaks, "This is my beloved Son." In that instant, something profound happens. Jesus remembers the crucifixion, a deep spiritual transformation. Baptism isn't just water, it's about letting go, shedding the old self. Imagine stepping into water and leaving behind everything you thought you knew about yourself. That's real surrender. The cross isn't just about suffering, it's about total transformation. Picture Jesus suspended between heaven and earth, arms wide open, completely vulnerable. This isn't defeat, this is ultimate spiritual surrender. Ancient stories tell similar tales. Osiris torn apart, Odin hanging from the tree of life. Always the same pattern, you must die to be reborn. The ego must dissolve. His final words weren't a cry of pain, they were revelation. Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. The mind stops fighting, the spirit breaks free. This isn't about physical death. It's about releasing the part of us that thinks we're separate from something greater. When you cross this threshold, you're no longer just human, you become light. Resurrection isn't returning to what was. It's awakening to a new reality where fear has no power. Mary Magdalene didn't even recognize him. His entire vibration had changed. This is transcendence, beyond the physical, beyond limitation, pure spiritual rebirth. Death isn't about proving power, it's about revealing a deeper truth. In ancient wisdom, resurrection isn't just a miracle, it's everyone's potential. When you truly wake up, you understand, life is an inner journey. Each of us must face our own transformation. We dive into waters of change, we carry our personal burdens, we emerge renewed. An old monastery scroll whispered a profound secret. Death is just a bridge. Cross it without fear, and you'll awaken. And once awakened, you never go back to sleep. Maybe the real question isn't if we'll resurrect. Maybe it's whether we're brave enough to die before we actually die. Karma isn't punishment, it's a subtle web of unresolved emotions, invisible chains that bind us to repeated patterns, old hurts, unhealed memories. These threads drag us through the same painful cycles. Different traditions see this differently. Hindus call it cause and effect. Buddhists see it as the soul's mirror. Jesus spoke of it as forgiveness, not just a moral act, but the path to true freedom. Forgiveness isn't about erasing pain, it's about releasing what holds you back. The universe reflects what you carry. What you don't let go becomes your own prison. Some souls wander through lifetimes seeking justice. In each life, they meet their old wounds in new forms. An enemy, a betrayal. The cycle continues until understanding arrives. Here's the paraphrased version. His brother kept stripping him of everything. Each time he died, he'd come back burning with revenge. But every time, the story would replay with a different face, a new scenario. Then one day, when his enemy was finally at his mercy, he raised his sword and let it fall. Something deep inside him understood. The fight wasn't about winning. True victory wasn't revenge, but breaking the endless cycle. In that moment, a weight lifted from his chest. When he closed his eyes, he knew he'd never face that enemy again. Because karma isn't punishment, it's repetition. It's not an outside debt, but a mirror of what we hold inside. Forgiveness, that's the key that unlocks freedom. Take Jesus on the cross. When he looked at his executioners and said, "Father, forgive them," he wasn't weak. He was performing a powerful alchemy, transforming pain into liberation. Not for them, for himself. Forgiveness isn't a gift to others. It's a gift to yourself. Every time someone hurts us, there's a hidden history. No coincidence. Every wound is a chance. Break the old bond or feed the resentment. When someone betrays you, humiliates you, takes what you love, you choose. Become a prisoner of the wound or transform it into wisdom. The bitter person says, "You hurt me, I'll never forget." The wise person says, "I attracted this, I release it." This isn't about excusing harm. It's about understanding. What isn't released repeats. Freedom's final act. A dying monk's whisper, "Nothing binds me. I am at peace." Perhaps true freedom isn't about what we acquire, but what we choose to release. How long will we carry this heavy burden? For centuries, people have waited for something miraculous, the return of Christ, a collective awakening. We've imagined a dramatic moment, heaven splitting open, a radiant figure descending to separate the righteous from the wicked. But what if we've misunderstood everything? What if the second coming isn't an external event, but an internal transformation? What if Christ represents something deeper, a divine spark within each of us? Jesus himself said the kingdom of God isn't something you can point to. It's not out there. It's inside you. These words have been repeated, but rarely truly heard. The awakening isn't about one person. It's about collective consciousness. It's about recognizing the light within our own souls. When we align our inner and outer worlds, something profound happens. This isn't just a Christian idea. Across spiritual traditions, there's a shared understanding. When one person awakens, it creates a ripple effect. Like a single flame lighting other torches, consciousness spreads. The apocalypse isn't destruction, it's revelation. It's remembering who we really are. Revelation isn't about the world ending. It's a massive wake-up call where the illusions we've built simply fall away. When Jesus talked about transformation, he meant a shift in how we see things, not some dramatic apocalypse. Ancient wisdom understood something profound. We're all stuck in a dream, believing we're separate from everything. But we're not. The second coming isn't about some external hero arriving. It's about awakening to our shared consciousness. There's a beautiful Tibetan story about a monk waiting for his master to return. He searched for years, growing older, wondering when wisdom would arrive. Then one day, while meditating, he saw something incredible. His master's face was everywhere, in a beggar's eyes, in a child's laugh, in a mother's tears. Suddenly he understood. The master never left. He was always present, waiting for someone to truly see. This awakening isn't about looking up to the sky, it's about looking inside. We don't wait for a miracle, we become the miracle. An ancient manuscript suggests that when humanity remembers its true nature, something magical happens. The divine appears in every heart. Maybe Christ never left. Maybe he's always been here, in compassion, in silent moments, in every soul remembering its light. The only real question is, when will we finally open our eyes? body and consciousness, the seen and unseen, dancing together in a sacred moment. "This is my body," he said. Bread, an ancient symbol of life's deepest essence. In Egypt, gods received bread as a sacred offering. In ancient mysteries, initiates consumed bread before glimpsing eternity. For Hebrews, manna from heaven nourished wandering souls. But Jesus spoke deeper. This wasn't just about food. He pointed to something fundamental, the very substance holding the universe together. When he said, "This is my body," he meant more than flesh. He meant the universal principle connecting all things. Alchemists understood this mystery. They saw a primordial energy rising through creation, waiting to be refined. The bread wasn't wheat and water. It was transformed consciousness, a subtle body emerging when matter becomes pure. And the wine? Spirit, transformation. "This is my blood," he proclaimed. Wine has always been more than a drink. In ancient rituals, it was a gateway to divine experience. In mystical traditions, it represented cosmic energy flowing into human existence. Jesus spoke of an inner fire, a divine spark residing in every person. His blood symbolized the vital energy circulating through all creation. Mystics knew. Drinking this wine wasn't about liquid. It was about accepting profound spiritual change, a transmission of energy, a moment beyond a simple meal. Spiritual codes imprinted on those ready to receive them. In ancient spiritual traditions, they believed that consuming sacred food wasn't just eating, it was absorbing the master's energy. Jesus wasn't simply sharing a meal. He was transforming his disciples' consciousness. The bread represented structure, the wine represented essence. Both were crucial for spiritual alchemy. After the Last Supper, something profound shifted inside the disciples. They couldn't fully explain it, but the Master's energy had marked them forever. When they later gathered in secret, they repeated the ritual, breaking bread, pouring wine. But this wasn't just remembrance. It was a living connection to divine light. An ancient scroll whispered a mysterious truth. When bread becomes pure, it turns to light. When wine is truly understood, it transforms into fire. Those who unite these elements wake up from spiritual slumber. Maybe the Last Supper never really ended. Maybe it continues in every awakening soul. The real question is, are we ready to drink deeply? To listen beyond the noise? Prayer isn't just talking. Meditation isn't just emptying yourself. They're doorways to something deeper. Divinity isn't out there. It's inside us. Jesus knew this. "Go into your room," he said. "Close the door and pray in secret." He meant an internal retreat, a sanctuary where spirit always speaks, even when we're not listening. Seekers have always understood this. Essenes at dawn, desert monks in constant prayer, Sufi mystics spinning, losing themselves in existence's dance. Prayer and meditation aren't just words, they're powerful vibrations of connection. When Jesus taught about prayer, he didn't ask for handouts. He spoke about alignment with divine harmony. Ancient wisdom understood something profound. Words aren't just sounds, they're creative tools. In Hebrew traditions, God's name was a living energy. In Hinduism, sound itself sustains the universe. Jesus said something revolutionary. Ask without fear, speak with certainty. This isn't about repeating empty phrases. It's about declaring your truth with deep conviction. A Sufi master once shared a beautiful insight. True prayer isn't spoken with lips, but beats within the heart. Meditation is listening, not with ears, but with your entire being. Early spiritual seekers knew this. Christians sought inner silence. Indian mystics stripped away distractions. Taoist masters understood that stillness reveals everything. Jesus didn't just pray in crowds, he retreated to deserts. He spent entire nights connecting with the invisible. Because true connection isn't an event, it's a state of being. In the deepest silence, monks have heard what words cannot express. Prayer and meditation aren't opposites. They're partners. One elevates, one receives. Together they bridge human and divine. The breath holds the secret. Inhaling is receiving. Exhaling is offering. In each breath, consciousness dances with mystery, remembering its true nature. Maybe the search was never about looking outside. Maybe the source was always right here. And the only question left, who's brave enough to step through? The world is changing, shifting, and with it the consciousness of those who live in it. Old beliefs are crumbling. Rigid structures are falling apart. Something new is rising from deep inside our collective soul. Christ isn't some distant figure floating down from the sky. No, Christ is a living spark inside each of us. It's not about one person returning, it's about a consciousness that's always been here, just waiting to break free. Ancient wisdom whispers that Christ isn't a name, it's a flame that burns in anyone who remembers who they truly are. And that flame, it's rising again. This isn't about destruction, it's about revelation. The old ways of fear and separation are dissolving, mental walls are breaking down, and the hidden truth, it's finally coming to light. This is about awakening, about remembering we're not separate, we're connected. One consciousness, one living, breathing energy. The vine and the branches, you are part of something bigger, always have been, always will be. Listen up. This isn't about some distant savior waiting to be worshipped, it's about something deeper. When true spiritual awakening happens, all our human divisions just melt away. Race, religion, nationality, they become meaningless. The divine isn't owned by any single group, it's everywhere. There's this story about a man who spent his entire life waiting for a miraculous savior. He put his whole life on hold, waiting, hoping. One night he has this dream. A blinding light appears. A voice asks, "Why are you still waiting?" He stammers back, "Because they promised someone would come and save us." The voice tells him to look into the water, and when he does, he sees himself, but transformed. Golden light in his eyes, a radiance he's never seen before. He wakes up and never waits again. The real awakening isn't some dramatic event with trumpets and clouds. It's happening right now, in the child's wonder, in the woman who sees no boundaries between souls, in the man brave enough to walk into light. This isn't about waiting, it's about seeing, really seeing. Want to try? It's simple. Pick any ordinary place, close your eyes, breathe, then look around, but differently. See the divine in every face, in every object. Listen like every conversation might be a sacred message. What shifts in you? Peace? Compassion? Something subtle but profound? Carry that vision, not constantly, just in moments, walking, talking, noticing. This is how perception changes. This is awakening. We've lost sight of Christ, buried him under layers of fear and judgment. He's everywhere, hiding in plain sight. Jesus himself said it. Look closely and you'll find him. Split a piece of wood, lift a stone. He's right there, waiting. The divine is woven into everything around us. But will you have the courage to truly see?